Hi everyone, it's Joe from Homegrown Musician and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be moving away from the theory side of things and we're going to be talking about production, specifically what you need to go into your first home studio. So the first thing you've got to think about is your computer. It's definitely the most important aspect of any modern studio. It is your centralized hub and it's what everything will be connecting to, what you'll be working on. It is the brain of your studio. So there are a few key things you've got to think about when deciding what computer you're going to have. So the first thing is operating system. Are you going to go PC? Are you going to go Mac? For some reason, would you go Linux? Don't know. But there are pros and cons to each of them. So another important thing to think about is cost. So studios can get pretty expensive at times and you've got to set yourself a budget. If you put too much into the computer, you won't have enough to go around. If you don't put enough into the computer, then you're not going to be able to run any programs and you'll basically be sunk from the start. So once you've set yourself a maximum budget, try and get the best bang for your buck, the best computer you can for the price you can afford. Look for a good processor, so with high cores and a high clock speed. Look for lots of RAM, as that'll get eaten up by programs, and lots of storage space, as music software can get pretty taxing on that too. So once you've got your computer set up, you're going to need some music production software to run on it. So the first thing you'll need is a DAW. No, not that DAW, a DAW, or a digital audio workstation. And basically, this is where all the magic happens. Your computer does all the hard work, but this is where all the music's actually made. So DAWs are pretty expensive and they take up a lot of space, so you'll probably only have one or two on your computer at any given time. I'm personally a Pro Tools user and I also use Logic Pro a lot. Now to find out which DAW's right for you, you've got to think about workflow and genre. So certain DAWs work better with certain workflows. Ableton's great for live looping stuff because that's how it's designed to work. Pro Tools is great for recording, it has some amazing editing features, it's great for various takes and things like that, and Logic comes with loads of great stock plugins, so if you're sort of electronic music producer or you work in the computer quite a lot, it's going to be great for you. At the minute, you probably don't know which sort of genre or which sort of workflow you're going to be using, so the best thing I can advise is to go down to your local music shop, have a play on some computers and see which DAW you prefer, and not only that, watch some YouTube footage of people using DAWs in action. So we've got our DAW and we've got our computer. Now the next thing you're going to need is an audio interface. So I can hear you asking, what's an audio interface? So it sort of says it in the name. It takes audio things like microphones and speakers and interfaces them with your computer so they can work together. So as I'm sure you'd expect, audio interfaces come with tons of different features depending on the brand that you're going to go for and the price range you're looking in. So your basic audio interface will connect to your computer, there'll be some sort of software to help control it, and it will have outputs for things like speakers and headphones and inputs for things like musical instruments and microphones. More advanced audio interfaces will have things like DSP inside them, which help take some of the pressure off of your computer when you're running a lot of software. They'll also have things like extra inputs and extra outputs like mine does, in case you want to record more difficult things like drum kits that need a lot of microphones. So my personal recommendation would be to start with a small 2-channel interface. They're great for beginners because they have everything you're going to need, such as control software, couple of inputs and a few outputs for speakers and headphones, and they don't take up loads of space. Not only that, they're much better on your wallet. So for those of you who haven't turned the video off and are still actually listening, you probably heard me just mention something called monitors. Now I'm not talking about computer monitors, I'm talking about audio monitors, so things like speakers and headphones. Now obviously, listening to your music is a massive part of, making music. So I'm not recommending that you just go to Argos and buy the first 20 quid pair of speakers you see. You've got to really think about what you need from a pair of monitors, and you've got to buy something half decent. Now that doesn't necessarily mean spending a lot of money. There's always eBay if you want something a bit better for a slightly nicer price, and there are loads of decent brand monitors that are designed at home studios. They're only small and they'll fit perfectly on your desk while still giving you decent clarity. So like I said, you don't want to just go for an average run-of-the-mill set of speakers. You need studio monitors. Now the reason for this is because hi-fi speakers are designed to make music sound good. They'll bump up certain frequencies, they'll cut other ones in order to sound as pleasant as possible, whereas studio monitors typically aim to be quite flat, or at least give you much more detail and clarity so that you can really hear what's happening in your mix and you can make decisions based around that. Now I use some HS7s from Yamaha and they're great because they're a reasonable price, they're not too big, and they do give you a decent amount of clarity. So when buying monitors, there are a few things to think about. So obviously there's the price. Again, studios are expensive, you've got to set yourself a budget. Then there's the size. If you've only got a small desk, you can't fit a huge pair of wacky monitors on there. And also the sound quality. You want the best sounding monitors for the least amount of money possible. Try and watch some YouTube reviews, but ultimately that's not really going to give you a clear opinion on the monitors. The best thing you can do is go into your local music store and listen to a pair of monitors that are within your price range. So another thing you could think about is a decent pair of headphones. So the thing with monitors is they're pretty loud. If you're going to be making music late at night, that's not really an option with monitors, whereas headphones you can have as loud or as quiet as you like. Not only that, my pair of HS7s with some speaker stands cost me about £400, and they're seen as okay but not amazing monitors, whereas I've got a pair of Sennheiser HD650s which are seen as pretty decent reference headphones, and they only cost me £250. So you can actually get a really nice set of headphones for less than an average pair of monitors, so that is definitely something to take into consideration. So now we've talked about all of that, we get to talk about everybody's favourite topic, microphones. So again, this depends on what kind of music producer you're going to be, but I recommend that at least everybody has one form of microphone, because that way, if you ever do come across a situation where you might need one, you've got one in the bank. So microphones come in all different shapes, sizes and styles. However, I'd recommend for a beginner home studio, you have at least one dynamic and one large diaphragm condenser microphone, as these two will cover pretty much all your bases. So it's a bit of an audio engineer's joke that you can put an SM57 on nigh on anything and it'll sound alright, and they only cost about 90 quid, so they're not that expensive. So large diaphragm condensers such as C414s or a Neumann U87 sound amazing on pretty much anything. However, they're really expensive microphones, yet you can still pick up a decent large diaphragm condenser for less than a few £100s, such as an Aston Origin or a Rode NT1A. So with everything I've mentioned today, you've got to remember that there are small hidden costs. So microphones, they're going to need cables, they're going to need stands. Speakers are going to need stands and acoustic foam to rest on. If you just put them on the desk, they'll sound awful. So you've got to think, when you're budgeting for your studio, to save maybe £50 to £100 just for these stupid little accessories that you're probably going to forget about, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. And finally, there's one last thing I haven't mentioned yet. Stuffed animals. You've got to have a toy in your studio. It's actually the rules. So it's actually written into parliamentary law that you need 2 toys in your studio at any given point, or all of your music's going to sound crap and none of your mixes are going to translate to the car speakers. Facts. Now your choice of toy is quite important. I'd personally recommend something like a Dragon Ball Z figure if you're a beat maker, but if you're going for more of a singer-songwriter, a stuffed giraffe is definitely the way to go. Okay, so we've now come to the end of the video. If you'd like any recommendations on specific pieces of gear, just ask in the comment section and I'll happily reply. If I've missed anything, again, let me know and I'm sure to fill you in. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, as it will massively help the channel grow, and watch out for future videos.